Good morning. Welcome to the program agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran, adjusting things here in Lipa City. We are broadcasting out of Lipa City, and it's a Friday, so I do hope you're all looking forward to the weekend. And it's April 21, 2023, and if I'm not mistaken, it is also a holiday. Paki-check na lang, Gab, if I have my calendar correct. But apparently, we are observing a Muslim holiday today. If that is correct, we will check on that. But nonetheless, welcome. It is Idil Fitir. Tama. Kasi iba yung ba? Id Fitir. Okay, Id Fitir. Okay, anyway. And it's a holiday, it's an official holiday, so I hope that you are all relaxing for the day. Let's get on with the program. Thank you very much to our Cignal TV subscribers all over the Philippines. Maraming salamat po. And also thank you to all of you who view the program agenda here on channels 8 and 250 of One News. And thank you to PLDT Home Fiber Optic Internet for the support here in Lipa. And let's now go to our daily starter, which comes from Mr. Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, the great basketball player, says, limits like fears are often just an illusion. Okay, I really like this motivational thought from Michael Jordan, because a lot of us talk about fears, about threats, etc. But sometimes we don't realize that limits, okay, are also a serious challenge, and many times limits are self-created, self-imposed, just like fear. Sabi nga ng iba, matakot ka sa tao, hindi sa multo. Ang problema sa maraming Pilipino, we are limited by our thoughts, not by our reality. Okay, so if you think, well, I can't do it because I'm not rich, I can't do it because I don't have the capital, or I won't get anywhere because I didn't finish college, that's no longer an excuse. Even being handicapped is no longer an excuse, because there are so many people in the world who are showing that they are doing things in spite of their physical, financial limitations. Okay, let's now go to the front page of the Philippine Star. Ito po, very disturbing front page headline, very disturbing news. Privacy body probing massive data breach. Ayan, kumbaga, ninenervyos na yung ating mga opisyal. Okay, the National Privacy Commission, or NPC, has ordered an on-site investigation on the data processing system of the Philippine National Police as it looks into the alleged leak of documents containing personal data involving law enforcement. Okay. At the same time, a response team from the Department of Information and Communication Technology, okay, Cybersecurity Bureau was doubling down on the probe into the reported breach of the database storing National Bureau of Investigation, or NBI, and police clearances. Ayan po, medyo seryoso po ito. This is a serious situation because apparently there's a lot of information, 1.250 plus files, 1,250,000 250,000 files were reportedly hacked into or breached. So ayan, pinag-aaralan na po ngayon yan ng Privacy Commission, the NBI, DICT, etc. So we will continue to monitor that until next week. Meanwhile, another serious problem from the NEDA chief, okay, the National Economic Development Authority. Yesterday, the chairman, Arsenio, Secretary Arsenio Balisacan said a dangerous combination of El Nino and inflation is threatening to push more people to poverty. Okay, as it assured the public that the government is working to protect vulnerable sectors from its impact. NEDA Chief Arsenio Balisacan said, El Nino, which is likely to hit the Philippines in the latter part of the year, based on forecast of the Weather Bureau, is expected to lower the production of agriculture sector. What we want to ensure is that we can mitigate the negative effects of El Nino. We can start planning and putting the necessary adjustments now to reduce the negative effects. Yan po, no? Medyo yan ang pinoproblema ngayon ng ating NEDA chief, and we will pray that that is resolved. Meanwhile, the Communist Party of the Philippines, or CPP, yesterday confirmed the deaths of its leaders Benito Tiamzon and his wife Wilma Austria Tiamzon, but claimed they did not die from an encounter in Catbalogan summer last year, but were actually tortured and killed by the military. That's according to Marco Balbuena, Chief Information Officer of the CPP. Meanwhile, the AFP, on the other hand, has denied such claims and said that the announcement of the NPA or the CPP confirms what they've always known for the longest time, that Benito and Wilma Tiamzon were killed in an encounter with military forces. At the left upper part of the front page, we have President Marcos receiving a jersey or uniform from the men's national ice hockey team. Okay, ito kakaiba ito, which won several international tournaments from January to April. The president hailed victorious Filipino artists and athletes who visited Malacanang yesterday. Akalain nyo, meron tayong ice hockey team. Kainit-init dito sa Pilipinas. Okay. Meanwhile, Bantag hints at possible surrender according to DOJ Secretary Remulla. Former Bureau of Corrections Chief Gerald Bantag has signified his intention to surrender to authorities following the launch of a massive manhunt for him and his deputy Ricardo Zulueta, according to the DOJ. Okay? Justice Secretary Remulla also said that Bantag had reached out and spoke with another cabinet member to inquire if he would be allowed to surrender peacefully with no risk of being injured or killed in the process. Ayan po. The center photo of the Philippine Star, in case nagtataka kayo, yesterday, it's all about an eclipse, okay? Top photo, okay, shows a supplied image of the total solar eclipse as seen from Exmouth, Western Australia. Yesterday, lower photo shows people using protective glasses to look at a partial solar eclipse in Marikina City, while inset shows a photo combination of the hybrid solar eclipse as seen from Quezon City. Ayan po. So there you go. A lot of people were actually waiting for that. Now, habang may solar eclipse yesterday, mukhang mag-i-eclipse yung plastic availability of plastic driver's licenses. Okay? The LTO, Land Transportation Office, has announced that their supply of plastic driver's license cards will last only until the end of the month, according to Assistant Secretary J.R. Tugade, Jose Tugade of the LTO. Mukhang ang bilis na ubos, maraming nag-apply, and the introduction of a new bidding, consolidated and bidding system at the DOTR has not helped the situation. So if you are getting new licenses or renewals in the coming month of May, malamang at malamang papel ang makukuha mo, hindi plastic. Okay. Unfortunately, that's the reality. And we wrote about that a few weeks ago, that this new system of biddings will result into this. Okay. Last but not the least, U.S. investors want predictability and transparency. Okay, predictability and transparency are major considerations of U.S. businesses when investing in other countries, U.S. Trade Representative Catherine Tai said. So that goes to transparency in regulatory processes, that goes to fundamental aspect of the jurisdiction, like rule of law, predictability, knowing that there is recourse when things go wrong, but as well as increasingly in my conversation with business leaders, they also are savvy in reading the global economy. Okay. In other words, the U.S. officials or trade officials are saying medyo ayaw nila dito yung pabago-bago ang sistema, at hindi mo masabi kung sino ang kakausapin mo today, tomorrow, and next month. Okay, so predictability. Okay, let's now go to our subject matter for today. And it is, okay, please stay with us, because we are going to speak with someone who has been on the program before. We have worked with her many times, guested her many times, and her calling seems to be two things: making laws, being a legislator, as well as being a physician. And we are going to talk about a number of things. One is, why is there no dental health plan in the PhilHealth program? Kumbaga, lahat ng sakit covered ng PhilHealth, pero yung sakit ng ipin nyo and dental services are not covered or not part of the program. And then recently there were children who passed out, hinimatay, during the severe weather situation or heat index in Mindoro. And why is it that we suspend classes during typhoons but allow or just stand by and watch while children suffer in incubator-like settings or oven-like settings na nagkakasakit yung bata dahil sa init, and many other things. Now, we will talk about health with our guest, But first, let's roll out the video to introduce her. Gab, please do the honors.
Dr. Janette Garin is Iloilo 1st District's representative in the 19th Congress. She is also the vice chairperson of the House Committee on Health. Garin previously served as the health secretary of former President Noynoy Aquino from 2015 to 2016.
Congresswoman, Secretary, welcome to the program, ma'am.
Sir Cito, good morning and maraming salamat. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course, ikaw pa. But, I'm happy that the team agenda chose you because I was really getting very frustrated trying to find someone to address this subject matter. And I suggested, humanap nga kayo ng lawmaker. Sino ba ang nasa Committee on Health? Let's start with the first subject first topics, Congresswoman, regarding dental health. You know, I go around in the provinces like you do, and dito sa Pilipinas, you know, it seems that when someone has a dental issue, sira ang ipin, ang solusyon bunot. Or uminom ka na lang ng pain reliever hanggang may magkaroon ka ng komplikasyon. I'm wondering why in the first place is dental health not covered by PhilHealth? Even the World Health Organization apparently pointed that out, etc.
Many do not understand the importance of dental health. Marami rin ang hindi nakakaalam that gum disease is actually highly related to diabetes and heart diseases. And that is why it's not being given such huge importance. There's actually a dental care program under the Department of Health, but it is not extensively supported. That is why during my term in the DOH, we decided to collaborate with the Department of Education and the Department of Interior and Local Government. Kasi yung ating mga schools, they actually have the school board fund. It can be augmented. There can be good collaboration between these three agencies. While at the same time, PhilHealth was being reviewed. Kasi nga, there were a lot of programs incorporated in the Philippine Health Insurance, which were not actually geared towards reducing the out-of-pocket expenditure. So there was cleansing of packages. And at the same time, there was supposed to be an addition of three important packages. And that is cancer, dental care, and renal problems. So napasok yung sa renal, we are still awaiting for PhilHealth to move faster and consider the proposed dental care program because it's very important in terms of public health.
Okay, you're a physician. You were first a doctor before you became a congresswoman. And so may I request you, Congresswoman, Doctora, could you please explain to our viewers why dental health is important? Because recently I came across I think it was a TED Talks presentation or something like that, where an American female lady physician pointed out their discovery of certain strokes, yung mga may stroke ba sa utak cases were related to infections of the gum or an infected tooth or molar or something. Hindi iniisip masakit na yung ipin, biglang na-stroke na pala. Could you explain that, ma'am?
Well, that is definitely true. The dental care is not only about vanity. Others will think kasi they think na magpapalinis ng ipin, pagpaputi lang ng ipin ang ginagawa. No, preventive care is actually taking care not only of your teeth but also of your gums. And if you have abscess, which means an infection, to laymanize it, may nana dun sa ilalim ng ipin that can actually spread to many portions of our body. It can lead to heart diseases, that's very common. And on rare occasions, it can lead to stroke. It can even lead to death on some occasions. It's not frequent, but it can, simply because the infection can lead to sepsis. Ibig sabihin yung infection ay napupunta sa dugo ng tao, dumadaloy, nagiging generalized infection. And it's difficult to convince our general population to focus to consider dental care simply because it's very expensive. No, magpabunot ng ipin, hindi naman libre. Magpapasta, hindi libre. And this is this misconception that if there is something wrong, just pull the tooth and it will be okay. Actually, the direction should actually be preserving the teeth because it's related to speech, it's related to confidence, it's related to protecting our oral area, which is actually an opening to many other organs in our body.
Okay, now, I remember, medyo mas malaki naman ang tanda ko sa'yo, Congresswoman. I remember nung panahon namin, hindi ka pwedeng gumalaw na wala kang hawak na toothbrush. Gising ka, toothbrush ang katapat mo. Kumain ka, toothbrush ang katapat mo. Matulog ka, toothbrush ang katapat mo. And you know, TV was always full of supposed members of the Dental Society or Association of Dental Health Experts. But ngayon parang biglang nawala. What's going on? Do we even have a dental health program in the Philippines now? A real dental health program?
There is supposed to be a dental health program. However, first, the funds. It needs a huge support. It needs collaboration among various government agencies. Second, what I'm seeing is that the Department of Health in its advocacy programs has shifted. No? Many of they would have advocacy programs that would entail consultations, seminars, meetings in various parts of the country. Where in fact, with Zoom and many other aspects of technology, all these meetings can actually be virtually held. And budget should instead be focused on intergovernment collaboration, where advocacy is being brought down to the masses. And the school is a very prime catchment area for dental care because it is where we find a confluence of young population. Kaya nga, sayang na nawala ito eh. Sayang na hindi na nagkakaroon ng close coordination and collaboration because in dental care, you have to start at a very young age. You cannot, what happens in our country, people just become conscious when they start losing their teeth. And for many, the solution would be false teeth, no? Magpapapustiso. But those who can afford, they would have dental implants. It's quite costly in the Philippines because it's not covered by insurance.
But has Congress even undertaken a study on and even the Department of Labor and DOH concerning lost time at work, production losses in productivity because people have a bad, have a broken tooth or a infection. Kasi I remember when I was doing projects in Palawan, the office wondered, Cito, why are you giving toothpaste and toothbrushes to the construction people? And I said, nasa isla kami, the nearest town is 2 hours away. You think I am going to waste the time when I have very few people left on the island? So, I'm just wondering, bakit ganito ang situation natin, Congresswoman?
Well, many priorities have changed. Now, there are three factors. Yeah, not only COVID. No, I see 3 factors. First is the fact that many people are not really that aware of the importance of dental care. Second, marami ang naging kakompetensya. The competitors of dental expense has expanded. People would prioritize load, no? People would prioritize many other things like makeup and vanity is more saleable than dental care products. And third, nawala yung, before there were some officials, especially local government units, who were really focusing on dental care, giving away free toothbrushes,
Yeah.
hiring dentists, supporting them. And the biggest dilemma that we found during my time in the Department of Health was that dentists were being provided or hired by the provinces because they have the capability to do such. Mas malaki ang pondo nila. But then there was a problem of dental chairs and transport towards the municipality. So what we actually did was collaborate with DepEd and DILG, provided dental buses to the provinces and municipalities that can be used on a rotation basis among municipalities. No? So technically, the dentist will be hired by the province. The local school board can provide for the consumables, and DOH was providing the dental chairs, some of the supplies, and the transportation for the dentist to go around. I believe this just needs to be revisited so that it can be given attention. And
sorry. Go ahead, Congress.
Sorry, but the people needs to be aware. Ang intindi kasi ng tao, what people thinks is that, okay, pag may toothbrush ka, it's a list of their priority. You can see in the provinces, even among the students, sirang-sira na ang toothbrush. Hindi na yan effective, wala nang gamit. But then they don't change it until it's totally broken or yung talagang naputol na. Because it's not being given a priority. Napupunta na yung budget nila sa ibang mga pangangailangan, lalo na at nagmamahal yung mga bilihin.
Are there champions for dental health? Because, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, may mga artista pa nga na endorser para sa dental health, sa campaigning for dental health. But ngayon parang wala akong, I don't hear of anyone championing dental health. And one would think that in Congress, I mean, I have to praise you, compliment you, Congresswoman Garin. Pagdating sa health, you're always on the front line. Kayo ng mga ibang lady congressmen, kayong mga congresswomen, ano? But I've not heard of people who are pushing for dental health program in offices, dental health program coverage, PhilHealth, etc. Parang you're right. Parang kinalimutan.
Yeah, that's why you're coming out and bringing this agenda into discussion is also an eye-opener for us. And thank you for that. We have to rekindle. And especially that we have a lot of young legislators, mas naiintindihan nila yung hirap kapag ikaw wala ng ipin or you are full of complications related to dental care. So what
about the education? Because, becoming a doctor such as yourself is very popular in the Philippines. But I have the suspicion that there are so few dentists in the country that they don't have to do anything. Kumbaga, everyone comes to them. They have more than enough patients. It's almost, it takes a week for me to get an appointment with my dentist. So parang it's, shortage of clients is not their worry.
Yeah, not only that. If you have a situation where the population ratio of dentists to the population is not that extensive, ibig sabihin, marami, that's what he said, marami ang pasyente, they don't need patients. The thrust of healthcare will be to shift the services to those who can afford. And that is a problem. When we talk about government agencies hiring dentists, nawawala yan. Dentists that were hired by the Department of Education were affected by the rationalization. So, syempre, iba ang sweldo if you're under the national government as compared to the dentists who are hired by the local government units. So,
mas mataas ang sweldo ng local government?
Mas mataas ang national government. It can go as high as double. So you see, when they were taken, like even among hospitals, you don't see the items for dentists. So the direction is for them to practice privately. And
Okay.
that brings the cost of health care and dental care.
Okay, Congresswoman, we'll just go for a 2-minute break. When we return, I'd like to find out what can you and your colleagues, the other congresswomen who are advocates of health, do about the situation. How do you program solutions to this? Because that's what this is all about. Ginawa naming agenda. We made it our agenda to bring focus to this. The question is what solution can and how does the solution come about? We'll go for a quick break. We'll be right back here on Agenda. Okay, welcome back to the program Agenda. And if you were watching earlier, you know that our topic is all about health. And we've started off with dental health. Many Filipinos are scared of dentists. Eventually, that has changed because more Filipinos have started to pay attention to their looks, to their dental presentation. Ayaw na nilang tawagin bungal. But unfortunately, dental health is not covered in PhilHealth or by PhilHealth. Dental health is no longer being promoted like it used to. Joining us this morning is Congresswoman Janette Garin of Iloilo. And Congresswoman, how will the solution come about from your end as a lawyer? I mean, as a lawmaker, sorry.
I have requested the leadership of Congress to activate the Committee on Oversight, specifically the one falling under the Committee on Appropriations. So I have been given the clearance. We were supposed to start in April, but then I'm following up the possibility of starting the oversight, activating the oversight powers of the Appropriations Committee. What will this do? This will actually entail looking into how advocacy programs, advocacy budgets, and budgets appropriations for specific healthcare programs are being spent. And one of that is dental care. what we are seeing is that the program is repeated on an annual basis, so much so that there's nothing new, no innovation anymore. The budget just goes to salaries, meetings here and there, program implementation review, but nothing to move forward. So that should be looked into. Furthermore, we really have to push for the collaboration that dental care will not only be a health priority, but a priority of the Department of Education, simply because the catchment population is there. And maybe we have to encourage PAGCOR and PCSO to set aside, kasi maliit lang yan, it wouldn't entail a huge budget to again provide toothbrush, toothpaste, and even flossing. Many people do not understand the importance of dental flossing, that even if you brush your teeth, in between your teeth, marami din yung naiiwan that can actually have complications later. So if we provide this to our general population and repeatedly inform them about the health consequences of poor dental care, then we will revive where we were before and possibly surpass that.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned PAGCOR and PCSO because they give away ambulances which cost over $1 million to every barangay I can think of. And you mentioned dental chairs. And if you put the two together, you put a dental chair on those ambulances, they can go around because hindi ka naman buwan-buwan pumupunta sa dentista. You know, dental visits are usually every 6 months for cleaning, prophylaxis, especially if you do take care. So oversight committee, look into the budget, how it's being spent, etc., and then sitting down with the DepEd, empowering them and perhaps also funding them because lahat yata ng trabaho binibigay na sa DepEd but they don't have as much funding for all these other little projects.
Yeah, precisely. That's why there should be a collaboration. That's basically the reason why we do DILG before. Because many barangays, especially the bigger barangays, mas maganda kung yung pondo nila. Like, let's talk about the Sangguniang Kabataan, SK. The funds being allocated to the Sangguniang Kabataan is mostly spent on like sports activities. And this is actually, on some occasions, this is duplicated by the allocation of the municipalities and the cities. Maybe we can tweak that by allocating the SK funds and giving the dental care as one of their priority programs. Mas maganda yan kasi they can measure the long-term effects. And at the same time, I mean, pardon me for this, pero minsan nagkakaroon tuloy ng stigma na yung SK medyo disco and then outing, but it's not really true. It's just guiding them on what national programs they can collaborate with national government agencies.
Okay. Congresswoman, you mentioned the DepEd and a second topic that I really wanted to ask you about. I don't know if you read the news or heard the news the other day of students na hinimatay or who passed out or fainted because of the high heat index in Mindoro. Hindi ko lang, I just can't remember if it was Oriental or Occidental Mindoro. And I was speaking with my wife, who is from the Netherlands, and she has told me several times in the past, she said, in Europe, when the temperature goes below 0, I think, or -1, or there's snow, schools are canceled. If the temperature hits, I think, 30 degrees in the summer, schools are canceled. And here in the Philippines, the only time the schools are canceled or classes are canceled or postponed is when there is a typhoon or an official holiday like today. But when it is burning hot, we just talk, wow, it's going to be burning hot. The kids are in those ovens. Can we do something about this, Congresswoman? Kasi it's done in abroad. When the heat wave happens, the kids stay home.
Yeah, it can be considered, and there's also an option, especially that in our areas, no, sa mga probinsya kasi the barangay school is located in the center. The time of the class can also be adjusted. It can be done in the afternoon until early evening for areas that are safe. And but at the same time, there can also be catch-up classes. Kasi syempre tinitingnan nga nila yung learning, the grasp of the students. So it can be adjusted. Maybe if the weather stabilizes, then Saturday classes can be held. But there are three things that should be addressed. The source of potable water in most of our schools is not that good. Well, that's a continuing problem that meron namang mga improvements, may mga nagagawa naman. But then COVID opened up the hand washing facilities in some schools, but potable water is still a problem. So if there's
many places, Congresswoman, sorry, no, are deep well. Sa balon pa rin ang gagaling in the provinces and they're not filtered. I'm in a city setting here in Batangas, and I found out that there are places na, yes, there is deep well water, but unless you filter them, you will be shocked at some areas where the level of bacteria is quite high because of populated area, etc.
Yeah, that's true. Kaya yung bata, kapag hindi nakabaon ng tubig, hindi umiinom yan. And in a very humid weather, what we are experiencing now, people should have constant sips of water. And the younger a person is, the more water that person needs. So yan ang nakakaligtaan. So if you stay like 6 hours in the school, and what happens is that the students would have the tendency to just buy soda, soft drinks, or yung scramble, no, or anything that's sweet. So that makes them more thirsty. Yeah, magbibiwi pa na magbiwi yan. It has a dehydrating effect. So it complicates things.
Yeah, also, why, as a doctor, why do we have such a prevalence of UTI or urinary tract infection among school children?
It's depending on the age. No? Let's say teenagers, medyo marami kasing aspect ng urinary tract infection. One is hygiene. No? So if you have toilets where the water is not that sufficient, and cleansing after making poo-poo is very important, especially among the women, because of the proximity of the vaginal opening and the rectal opening. So, alam na, most of the urinary tract infections are actually caused by the bacteria coming from the rectal area, no, yung sa pupo na area. Now, pag hindi magandang pagkalinis, tapos hindi nagsasabon, so the infection ensues. Second is that, syempre nauuso rin sa iba yung they have the panty shields, no? And that's needed in some situations, but in a very tropical country na nagpapawis yung tao, it cannot stay there for long. Supposed to be yan. That's why advocacy is still important. So if you have this panty shields, if you have something there, it can be a petri dish for infection. So dapat yan after 6 hours or even maximum matagal na 8 hours, no, tanggalin siya. No? It has to be changed. But again, among those who are engaged in sexual activity, we also call it the honeymooners syndrome. So dun these are part of the part of advocacy why the young ones who are not yet prepared should not engage in early premarital sex, because it's not only that you will be prone to cervical cancer, not all, but that it can be one of the causes. Pero ando dun din yung UTI, but it all goes back to really to the availability of soap, water, toilets, good hygiene, and educating our children. If I mean your wife is from the Netherlands, in their country at a very early age, children, especially the ladies, the girls, are being taught perineal care, how to wash, what to touch, what not to touch, and then why do you need to really clean your behind with soap and water. No? Kasi minsan yung iba, they would use tissue and it spreads to the frontal area. Then, magkaka-UTI.
Ayun. Okay. Congresswoman, let's go for a quick break. When we return, I'd like to continue with our conversation and also catch up with what you are doing naman, yung agenda mo naman as Congresswoman. And we'll be right back here on Agenda. Welcome back to the program Agenda. Joining us or still with us this morning is Congresswoman Janette Garin, representative of the 1st District of Iloilo. Congresswoman, welcome back. Now, I'd like to catch up this time on what your agenda is as Congresswoman for this term.
On the legislative side, we're still looking into amending the universal health care, especially the killer provisions, the two killer provisions that I have been reiterating since this was being tackled in the previous Congresses. First is the fact that all commodities, devices, and drugs has to pass through phase 4 clinical trial because it's a killer provision. Why? Because phase 4 is post-marketing surveillance. Ibig sabihin, minomonitor yung produkto habang ginagamit na on a macro perspective, no, yung malakihang paggamit. So it's no country in the whole world has this provision. The person or the group who probably recommended that is geared towards the naturalist approach to treatment. We respect that. However, that is not practical. Ibig sabihin nun, makakagamit lang ang Pilipinas kapag yung buong mundo ginagamit na yung gamot na yon, device na yon, or bakuna na yon for approximately 5, 8, or even 10 years. So kawawa tayo niyan. So what happens now, every time there's an innovative drug, every time there is something new that the whole world is using, nagkakandara pa, hindi magamit ng Pilipinas. Everybody is afraid to touch it because you cannot just license it. You have to seek exemption from Congress. Second is the fact that the universal health care provides a lot of provisions that puts PhilHealth on top of public health implementation. And that is wrong. Because
How is that?
Well, ang daming programs kasi na nakalagay doon na ang magpapatakbo is PhilHealth instead of the Department of Health. I believe the trigger for this was there were people who were saying, don't trust the Department of Health because of the call of the anti-vaxxers against people in the Department of Health who were also promoting vaccination because it's part of public health care. And so because of this, the handling of many health programs was transferred to PhilHealth. Then that kills the universal health care law because PhilHealth is a health insurance. Public health is handled by the Department of Health. So let's say there are personalities, sasabihin na, yung DOH medyo sabog o nagkakalap, pabago-bago ang desisyon. You don't take out the obligation from the agency. You change the person in charge and put somebody within the department who can handle that situation. So if you put many programs under PhilHealth, mas magiging malala ang implementation because public health is an expertise of many people who will be hired by the Department of Health or are currently working within the DOH. PhilHealth naman handles insurance mechanism. In addition to this, the Health Technology Assessment Council was created under the Universal Healthcare Law. That is good. No, HTAC has its own powers. However, it was given too much power so that every little decision of the Department of Health and PhilHealth has to go through them. And I am a personal witness to many situations that officials has to be called to Congress or to Senate or to other executive agencies and question them why there is too much delay on public health decisions that are actually life-saving. At minsan sa sobrang tagal ng desisyon, ang nangyayari, nag-expire na lang yung commodities. The reality is the hands of DOH and PhilHealth are tied because the Universal Healthcare Law placed this obligation on HTAC alone. But it does not have any accountability. They are merely recommendatory, but if you don't wait for them or you don't follow their recommendations, there will be malicious people who are just fond of filing cases against career officials. In other words, the intention of the law is good. However, the practicability of achieving it has been muddled by killer provisions. So that is one thrust that we have been pushing. And masyado na tayo sito maraming batas. Sa dami ng batas natin, ang kailangan tingnan, what are the laws that are already in obsolescence and should be changed? More importantly,
it's interesting you said that, Congresswoman, because maraming batas, butas-butas naman. There's so many loopholes, there are many imperfections, and what's happening here is our laws are now becoming reactionary and not not remedies as they were intended. I mean, like we're talking about dental health. Everyone's talking about control, but no one really did anything about such dental programs.
Well, Cito, you're right. And we have a lot of laws that are actually being abused by some agencies and some officials. The intention of the law is good. However, when the IRR, the implementing rules and regulations was crafted, it was crafted to the likes of a certain people in the executive area, or minsan hindi lang nagkaintindihan. So the implementation or the use of that law has already affected. Let's say example, merong mga batas o dapat. Let's say example, the Bureau of Fire. The intention of the law is good. However, when it comes sa baba not all, but in some situations, the interpretation of the law is muddled so much so that they become inflexible. And earlier you were saying that investors or the business sector wouldn't like to enter a country or enter into business when there are instability in policies. And that is true. No? Minsan ang hirap-hirap na hanap ng mga tao who can augment our economy and provide jobs. Then pagdating sa baba, mahirap ang suporta simply because there is a twisted interpretation of the law, or the law that was passed with a different intention is being utilized for another intention.
And the only time things are actually addressed is when people are dying, like during the time of COVID. Kung hindi pa nagkakamatayan ang mga Pilipino or all over the country and emergency rooms could no longer take people in, we may not even have had a vaccine because of all of all of this paranoia. Anyway, Congresswoman, thank you very much for our time, and please bear with me kung kukulitin kita again. We'll call on you especially on that other topic that is my agenda now, which is about the making marriage and weddings affordable for the poor. Na pamasahe nga wala pa, puro pa mga papeles. I know you're with the health, but you're also Congresswoman, so please do join us in the future programs, Congresswoman Garin.
Yes, Cito. That should be free. That should be part of government service, no? Yung pagpapakasal at pagpapabinyag.
Okay. Thank you very much, Congresswoman Janette Garin. God bless you. We do hope to stay in touch more often, and may the Lord bless the work of your hands and, of course, bless your family.
Thank you, sir. God bless.
Okay. That's Congresswoman Janette Garin, representative of the 1st District of Iloilo, and our blessing for this week in terms of a reminder. It is from Cory Ten Boom. Never be afraid to trust an unknown future to a known God. God is faithful, God is kind, God hears you, and God will bless you. I'm Cito Beltran, thanking you for joining us this week. Please do pray for me as well and my family, and pray for the program that we can continue to do programs such as today to be a blessing to the nation. Thank you. Please keep it here on One News.